Hi, I'm Beth Hansen, and this is Move Over. Fitness topics for people who kind of hate the fitness industry. Real people talking real fitness with a big dose of tell it like it is. Hello, hello, hello. I am Beth Hansen, your favorite personal trainer that likes talking just as much as she likes training, and this is Move Over. I bring together two experts to talk about all things fitness, movement, and health. I bring some of the fitness knowledge, and my guest brings expertise in their field. We find some common ground while answering your questions, learning about some fitness topics you actually care about, and generally having an excellent time. Today, we've got the real deal, y'all. We have got a big guest. We have Ivan Canada, the executive director of the National Conference for Community and Justice of the Piedmont Triad, also known as NCCJ. NCCJ promotes understanding and respect among all cultures, races, and religions through advocacy, education, and dialogue. They don't advocate for any single group or philosophy. Rather, they work to build mutual respect among all people, regardless of race, culture, sexual orientation, gender, socioeconomic background, or faith. He graduated from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, has been given numerous awards, including the Triad Business Journal's 40 Leaders Under 40, and he is here on the podcast. Welcome, Ivan.
Thank you, Beth. I'm excited to be here.
I am so pumped to have you here today. So I always start off the show by asking my guest, what is your relationship with fitness and movement?
My relationship with fitness and movement, it is a part of self-care for me.
Ooh, I love that.
I am a person that still will probably go to the gym on the other side of the pandemic.
Yep.
I have not bought a Peloton or any of those things.
Are you close to it, though? You're sort of...
No, because I actually still enjoy using, like, free weights and things like that.
Sure.
So, you know, unless I got one of those, tonal things or whatever.
The tonals look really cool, though.
I want to see it in person. I'm very fascinated by it, but I have a feeling it's very expensive.
Oh, it is not only expensive up front, they get you with the membership every month.
Is it more expensive than a Peloton?
I think it sits at like $3,500. I don't know how much the Peloton is.
It's more. I think a Peloton is like $2,000 for the bike.
I mean, at that price point, like, what's another $1,500?
I guess so, right? Just put it on a credit card.
Exactly. It's the American way.
But you know, like for me, I probably fell in love more with fitness when I became, I don't know, close to 30 years old. Uh-huh. You know, I didn't play a lot of sports in high school.
Did you play any?
No.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't my thing, right? Like, also sort of, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s and, you know, I knew I was different. And so, you know, it just wasn't a space for me.
Sure.
And so I just never really did. And so then I had to kind of fall in love with fitness as an adult. And,
I can relate to that.
You know, and so that's what happened. And for me, it is a place of, like, balance. And I feel like I can take my stress at work out at the gym. I enjoy going on runs. And so it's been a love that I've developed as an adult.
I love to hear that you've developed that love, too, and you haven't just sworn it off.
No.
How long have you been running?
I started running right before my 30th birthday, so about 12 years. And I remember doing my first 5K.
Okay.
This is many years ago, and I just felt this sense of accomplishment.
What race was it? Do you remember?
Oh, God. I don't know if I can remember what it was.
Do you still have the T-shirt? I feel like that's really the test.
I still have the medal.
Oh, the medal. Even better. Did you place?
No, everybody gets a medal. That's what you pay for. That's what the registration fees are for.
You need that swag bag.
So I did that. I mean, if I think about, I may not remember the first, but I remember I have traveled to San Francisco to do Beta Breakers race.
Cool.
Which runs through the city, and it is a wild party. And so I think I went maybe on the 100th anniversary or something like that of Beta Breakers. Some milestone anniversary. A friend of mine and I flew out to San Francisco and did the race, and it was like one of the last years that they had all the silliness with it. So, like, there are people that dress in costume. There's like 50,000 people that run this race. Oh my gosh,
I'm so jealous you got to experience that.
And so now they've, like, toned it down a little bit, that people can't, like, be publicly drinking and, like, stopping along the way. I mean, you had camps of people, right? You had serious runners, and then you had people that were there for the party. And just to be in that atmosphere and to travel, I think it was a 10K or either it was a half marathon, one of the two of those. But so I remember that. And I enjoy it. I don't get to run distance as much as I would like to anymore, but I still try to get in like a quick 3 or 5 mile run. I will admit I am not a summertime runner, so I'm like one of those like fair weathered running friends.
Would you rather run when it's like snow on the ground?
I can run when it's colder more than I can if it's really hot.
Oh, interesting.
So like in the summer when it's like 90 some degrees here and the humidity, unless I run first thing in the morning, I'm not running.
That's not happening.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
So this is like your prime time right now. You're running some miles.
So I went on a nice run last weekend of about 10 miles. So it was good.
That's so exciting.
But I haven't done a marathon yet.
You know what? I am in the same boat as you. I have been running for, just sort of off and on casually, have done all kinds of races, but I've never actually done a full marathon.
Have you done a half?
I've done a couple halves.
Yeah, me too.
And to be honest, I would love to do a marathon, but I sort of want to do one on my own in Greensboro and just chart the mileage out and have friends at different like stations waiting for me. Like, I don't want the swag bag. I don't want the hullabaloo. I want my
You don't want to pay
friends.
$200 for a registration fee to run, right?
I don't want to pay $200 to go for a damn run. It's crazy to me. And if I get to plan the route, then I get to decide what I want to see, the elevation, which is another big one. I get to make sure that I'm not running around. I'm just a solitary person when I exercise. Like, I get frustrated going on runs on the weekends because there's too many people in the parks. Like, I am such a Scrooge when it comes to that. Like, I want to go as far away as humanly possible.
So you couldn't do a race where there's 30, 50,000 people on it?
I could, but by the end of it, I would be so much more exhausted from being around all the people than I would the running, I think.
That makes sense. I could see that.
I just get so, and especially after COVID and everything, I just get so overwhelmed.
Yes.
But that's cool. We should go for a solitary run sometime. Maybe. Are you on Strava?
No.
Oh, you should get on Strava, and then that
What
way,
is it?
It's like a social media for running, and like the reason I use it is because then I can send a beacon to tell somebody like, "Hey, I'm on a run," and they can follow me.
And they can follow you.
And make sure. But then also it's got this really cool feature where if you run by one of your friends, they call them flybys, and you can like see. So every once in a while, I'll come back from my run and I'll be like, I did not even see them at all. Like, I was just staring directly straight ahead. It's sort of fun.
I think most people, like, if they really run for some of the benefits of running, they aren't paying attention to, like, sort of who's around them.
Yeah. What do you listen to on a run? Are you like a podcast, music? What do you do?
No, I have to do music. So I love podcasts. That's one of my things, but I don't listen to them when I run.
Really?
Mm-mm. It's all music.
This is like the line, I feel like. And not many people are on the podcasting side. And I feel like it speaks to the intensity that they want to run at. Like, you must want to really get after it. You need the motivation.
I need the motivation, and I also know that my mind will wander as I run. Mm-hmm. And so I'm probably not listening to the podcast.
Gotcha.
And so for me, like, I listen to podcasts on a drive. I actually like listen to it like at home on like I'd watch a television show.
Sure.
You know, so like to me, I want to be a little bit more present for the podcast if I'm listening to it. So yeah.
I get you. I like to listen to the funny podcast so I look like a complete lunatic. Like, just dying laughing.
You're drenched in sweat and you're like laughing along the way. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm sure people are like, that's why I don't run.
Exactly. I'm sure I'm also known around town like, oh, there's that girl again. Here she comes. All right, Ivan. So tell me a little bit about what it is that you do here in Greensboro at CGA.
So I have the privilege and the honor to be able to lead an organization that really focuses on how we can learn to live together across our differences. NCCJ has been around here for over 80 years. NCCJ has been around here for over 80 years, and it originally started as an interfaith organization. And if you go back to the time when Al Smith was running for president in the 20s, there was a lot of anti-Catholic sentiment going on in the country, right? Eerie undertones to sort of current day.
Big time.
And so there were folks that felt like we need to stop that, and we need to make sure that everyone is sort of seen as an American in this country, no matter what their faith traditions are. And so it got started, and they had this tolerance trio that really they would go around the country trying to help break down stereotypes and misconceptions that people had about, Jewish people, Catholics. And so through that, an organization got formed, and the one here in the Piedmont Triad was started in 1937. And it's been around ever since then. Obviously, our work looks very different than then from when it got started. But, the really great thing is that still is a small part of the work that we do around interfaith. But now it has just evolved to include things like race and gender and sexual orientation. And obviously, in the last year, with everything going on after the sort of racial reckoning that we've had in this country, NCCJ has been busier than ever. And it's really interesting because, we've been here.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we just popped up, right?
80 years.
Right. So we've been here. So people could have been having conversations about race and racism and how that affects people and how we can work together and maybe commit to some different policy practices or ways we want to show up with each other to be, living into our values of trying to make sure that we're a community and a nation, that everyone has a voice and everyone is seen and heard and all of that.
And everyone's safe.
Yeah.
What a novel concept.
Yep.
So do you work mainly with kids? Do you work with adults, all types?
So we are all over the place. We will always say we will go where anyone invites us to go.
Oh, I love that.
So we do a lot of work with young people. So we have a flagship program called Anytown, which, side note, Beth was an amazing counselor, advisor up at Anytown a number of years ago. We're working to get her back up on the mountain,
Don't
as
worry.
we call it.
I'm back.
And so we've been doing Anytown for over 30 years, and it is a really special program. It's for juniors and seniors in high school, and we take them up to Blowing Rock, North Carolina, for a week-long residential intensive program where they learn about themselves, honestly. They learn about other people that are different than them. And then they think about, what does this mean for me? How can I be an agent of change in my community, in my school, if I say I want to be an ally to people who are different than me, from whatever dimension of diversity that is. So we've been doing that for over 30 years. That is our crown jewel. That's the thing a lot of people know us from. And then we also do just work with corporations and businesses and, school educators and all sorts of things like that. Obviously like implicit bias and
Sure.
What does it mean for us to live our values out of inclusion, and what are the things that maybe get in the way, and just helping people have courageous conversations around this kind of work.
Courageous conversations. That's a great way to put it. I don't know how I missed Anytown as a Guilford County Schools graduate, but holy moly, did I miss out!
You're now in the family because you've come up as staff.
But some of those courageous conversations could have happened a little bit sooner in my lifetime, for sure. I mean, I am a huge advocate. I feel like it should absolutely be mandatory if we had the resources to be able to send every kid in Guilford County up on the mountain. That would only benefit us.
Yes.
So I brought you on the podcast today, knowing all of that, and that actually brings us into our first segment. This is called Traditional Tales.
Okay.
These are stories of our fitness foremothers and forefathers, okay?
Okay.
And I want to talk about something that is all over the news these days. We're going to talk about trans athletes.
Okay.
All right, so I'm sure you know all about this, but in 2020, there were over 20 bills introduced that completely just sought to ban trans people from participating in athletics, youth sports, all over the levels, okay? Idaho was one of the first states to pass one of these sweeping bans. And what's particularly interesting and terrifying to me is that these are like Mad Libs bills, right? So it's literally a fill in the blank of hatred that moves from one state to the next. And what's so terrifying about that is you can literally take the bill from Idaho, cross out a couple lines, move it right over to North Carolina, bing, bang, boom. You got some Republican assholes, and here we go. It's law, just like that.
Yeah.
So did you see this clip of the dad talking to the Missouri State Legislature?
No.
Okay, Brody, can you play this clip of the dad talking? It's a short clip. It's about 3 minutes, but I think every single bit of it is worth it.
Okay.
My name is Brandon Bulware, And Chairman, I'll go as quickly as I can. I'm a lifelong Missourian. I'm a business lawyer. I'm a Christian. I'm the son of a Methodist minister. I'm a husband. I'm the father of 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, including a wonderful and beautiful transgender daughter who today happens to be her birthday. And I chose to be here. She doesn't know that. She thinks I'm at work. One thing I often hear when transgender issues are discussed is, I don't get it. I don't understand. And I would expect some of you to have said that and feel the same way. I didn't get it either. For years, I didn't get it. For years, I would not let my daughter wear girl clothes. I did not let her play with girl toys. I forced my daughter to wear boy clothes and get short haircuts, play on boy sports teams. Why did I do this? To protect my child. I did not want my daughter or her siblings to get teased. And truth be told, I did it to protect myself as well. I wanted to avoid those inevitable questions as to why my child did not look and act like a boy. My child was miserable. I cannot overstate that. She was absolutely miserable, especially at school. No confidence, no friends, no laughter. I honestly say this, I had a child who did not smile. We did that for years. We did that against the advice of teachers, therapists, and other experts. I remember the day everything changed for me. I'd gotten home from work, and my daughter and her brother were in the front lawn. And my daughter had sneaked on one of her older sister's play dresses. And they wanted to go across the street and play with the neighbor's kids. It was time for dinner. I said, come in. She asked, can she go across the street? I said, no. She asked me if she went inside and put on boy clothes, could she then go across the street and play? And it's then that it hit me that my daughter was equating being good with being someone else. I was teaching her to deny who she is. As a parent, the one thing we cannot do, the one thing, is silence our child's spirit. And so on that day, my wife and I stopped silencing our child's spirit. The moment we allowed my daughter to be who she is, to grow her hair, to wear the clothes she wanted to wear, she was a different child. And I mean, it was immediate. It was a total transformation. I now have a confident, a smiling, a happy daughter. She plays on a girls' volleyball team. She has friendships. She's a kid. I came here today as a parent to share my story. I need you to understand that this language, if it becomes law, will have real effects on real people. It will affect my daughter. It will mean she cannot play on the girls' volleyball team or dance squad or tennis team. I ask you, please don't take that away from my daughter or the countless others like her who are out there. Let them have their childhoods. Let them be who they are. I ask you to vote against this legislation.
And this is happening all over the country.
Yeah.
All
I
over
think
the country.
30 states.
Oh my gosh, are we up to 30? So the thing that doesn't get talked about with this, I think enough, is the risk of suicide for these kids.
Absolutely.
And it is proven that when kids are able to express as themselves and play the sports with the gender that they are, their risk of suicide drops exponentially.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is a matter of life and death for these kids. I mean, and this isn't just elementary school, high school. This is going all the way up to the IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee, which is there's a lot of different rules about it but from a physiological standpoint, there's a lot of confusion around it right now. And so instead of getting into all of that nitty gritty stuff, I wanted to talk about 2 historic trans athletes, or one athlete and one group that did amazing things.
Awesome.
You okay?
Yeah.
You got something in your eye?
Yeah. It's good now.
It's good. Okay, cool. So, first, have you ever heard of Renee Richards?
I have not.
I have never heard of her. She is such a badass. Renee Richards fought to compete in the 1976 Women's U.S. Open.
Okay.
She was a badass tennis player, went to like Harvard, Yale, competed, was so good, I think, at golf, or was it baseball, that she sort of had the choice as to whether
Of
or
what
not
she wanted to play.
what she wanted to play. I mean, this woman's a monster athlete. And she was actually one of the first ones to come out. I mean, this is 1976. This is
Wow.
way before this conversation was in the public quite as
There
much
was not
as
a
it is now.
trans person on the cover of Time in 1976.
God bless, no. And here's something that really pissed me off. She didn't get the chance to come out. She was outed. And guess who she was outed by? This is really some shit here,
A
y'all.
coach?
No. We're coming full circle here. She was outed by Richard Carlson, a local TV anchor. Guess whose father is Richard Carlson? Tucker Carlson. Uh-huh. The audacity of these people, the fact that this, I mean, it is generational. I was dumbfounded when I found this
gosh.
out. Dumbfounded. Tucker Carlson's father outed this poor woman, and she was pissed. And she fought back. She took it to the New York Supreme Court, who ruled in her favor in a landmark case in transgender rights to allow her to compete in the 1976 U.S. Open. She didn't win, but she was there. And she kicked ass. Isn't that amazing?
That's incredible. And you know, and at the end of the day, I mean, you're in fitness and sports, and you know it's not about the winning.
No.
Like, that wasn't even what it was about for her.
She just wanted to play.
Right.
She just wanted to play. She wanted to show up and be able to play the sport that she had spent thousands of hours practicing and preparing for, just like everybody else had.
Right. I just want the opportunity.
Just want the opportunity to get on the court and play.
Yeah.
So if we take anything from that, fuck Tucker Carlson.
Wow.
Okay, number 2. Now this is something else. Have you heard of the Iron Ladies?
I feel like I've heard about this one.
Okay, so the Iron Ladies is a men's volleyball
That's
team.
right. Yeah.
Made up of gay men, transgender, from Thailand. Okay, there are multiple videos about it. Have you seen the movies that they made? There's 2 movies, and none of them are in English, but they're subtitled. I found them online when I was looking. It looks like they've got like, you know, semi-decent reviews, but I bet it'd be an interesting watch. They won the national competition in 1996 in Thailand, and then weren't allowed to go on and represent Thailand, essentially because they didn't want the press. They didn't want, even though this team,
That was
the
who
Iron
was
Ladies,
supposed to represent them.
yeah,
Right.
This is the best men's volleyball team in Thailand, and they were essentially shunned by their nation.
Right.
And what I didn't realize, and maybe you know this, apparently in Thailand, it's a much more fluid culture as far as gender identity goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that, you know, if you look at sort of a lot of cultures, right? Like, how strong is the binary, right? Like, when we talk about gender and we talk about indigenous folks, right? Like, 2 spirits,
Yeah.
right? Like, so, you know, if
Talk a little bit about that, and folks might not know about that.
Oh God, I'm probably not the one to talk about it, but really just this concept that early introductions of the fact that gender wasn't just existing in the binary, and that there were people that sort of occupied sort of different spaces within that. And so with colonialism, all of that was sort of pushed aside and swept away, right? Because the indigenous folks were having to assimilate to what, the colonizers were wanting.
Yeah,
in terms
we're sort of the
like,
weirdos.
how we're going to show up, right? Like, you know, we're coming from Europe, and so therefore this is what we expect, and this is the norm. And so I'm sure, you know, we could look at a lot of different cultures around the world, and we would see, like, even just the gender expectations and what the gender roles and things like that look vastly different, you know? And so, again, if you look at that, that allows you to sort of say, gender is a social construct. You know, like, even listening to, you know, that representative talk about his daughter, you know, there was still even stuff of like, well, what is a men's haircut?
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, And I think that those lines are beginning to blur. And I think the challenge of, I think where we get so much pushback around a lot of these kind of conversations is, we have this need that we've got to neatly put everyone into boxes.
Yes.
And so if it is a person that has long hair, we have to identify that that is a female. Those sorts of things. And, but it doesn't mean that. And we're trapping people.
Yeah.
You remember up at Anytown when, they do gender night and they talk about, ideas of who is the most masculine person and the most feminine person and these ideas. And then you ask them, how many of you all fit into this box of when you made the list of what it means to be masculine and what it means to be feminine all the time?
Yeah.
All the time. Every single day.
Every single moment you've got to fit
No
into
one
this
fits
box.
that.
Yeah. It's interesting to think about the binary being fluctuating
Right.
more across cultures, which is, as Americans, something that we don't do ever, is think about anything outside of not only our way, but the binary as it is,
Yeah.
right?
It's that either or thinking,
Yes.
right? Like you're either this or that, and there's no room or conversation for what happens if you're not in that.
Absolutely. You mentioned at the top of the show, you were saying that sports weren't really a place for you.
Yeah.
I felt that, but in a much different way. And when I was in high school, I played lacrosse. And I think still to this day, the traditional uniform for women's lacrosse is a skirt.
No.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was out there in a pleated nylon skirt, honey. It was atrocious. It was awful. And
I hope you save some of those photos.
Oh God, they're so funny. And it really is. It's like a knee-length pleated skirt. It was horrendous. It was so bad. It was so bad. But looking back on that, like, man, I was already having a hard enough time being in this like teeny little tank top. And then they put me in this skirt and it was horrifying. It was horrifying. And I didn't have the words for it. I couldn't say like, oh, this doesn't work for me.
Right.
So
I'm sure it wasn't working for anyone.
Oh God, no, it was not working for anyone. Okay, so going back to the Iron Ladies, look up this movie. The movie is actually called The Iron Ladies.
Okay.
These folks were bad asses, and they looked fabulous when you look at the pictures.
Okay.
I'll put a photo up on the Instagram so that folks can see. But they looked good and they kicked some ass at some volleyball, y'all. All right, moving on. Let's take a quiz.
Okay.
What do you think?
Sure.
Okay, I need a few moments to do some brief calculations. I'm going to give you the mic, and I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. So, I don't know. A lot has been on my mind of late, and going back to this idea about all these trans bills that are being passed. And, the interesting thing, I don't know if you saw this, but for North Carolina, it was introduced on the 5th anniversary of HB2.
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Sorry, I know I'm sort of take a break. Jesus. Go ahead.
On the 5th anniversary, you can't tell me that was not intentional. We have this saying at NCCJ where we talk about inclusion requires intention. It's not going to be easy. You got to think about who needs to be at the table, stuff like that. But that took some intention to be that discriminatory on a date that was already so challenging for us as a state, and that we want to use like the most marginalized and, probably lack of a voice within a community to be the ones that we're going after, right? It's such a pivotal time. You talk about like all of the damage that happens with that. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and I remember just all of the horrible things that politicians were talking around, like marriage, when HIV was going, like all of those things. All those things have an effect on kids, So it's sad that we move to a place of fear and that we shut down when we're confronted with something that is different and that maybe we don't have a personal connection or have any understanding, as opposed to just start with like, how am I going to be a nice person, a compassionate person, and maybe work to figure out like what it means later.
Ask a
but
question.
like sit down with a trans person.
Yeah.
Go to dinner with that politician's family. Just sort
Take
of
your lesbian trainer out for a cocktail.
yes.
Something. Excellent use of the microphone, Ivan. I picked out a very special quiz for you.
Okay.
Okay, now,
I hope I pass.
well, we'll see. We'll see. This quiz, they want you to answer 12 questions,
Okay.
and they're going to match your workout to your mood currently. So now that we've got you all riled up about these bills, we're going to see what your workout's going to be on your Friday, okay?
Perfect.
All right, and my listeners really love it when I use visual media to use this podcast.
Okay.
So the more we can do that, the better. All
Okay.
right. Which animal represents how you're feeling right now? We got a teeny tiny puppy, a monkey sitting on a curb, a grumpy cat, a koala, a bison looking kind of shaggy, or a goat yelling. A lot of options.
I'm probably the goat yelling.
Ooh, you're the goat yelling.
I am the goat yelling.
I just want to make
It's been
sure
a
you
week.
can see what that goat looks like. That's you
Yes,
right now.
that's
Yep,
me.
That's Ivan.
That's
Okay,
me today.
good. All
It's
right.
not me all the time. It is where I am.
You're right. You're here
Yes.
right now. Okay. Think of the most recent time you got mad. Which best describes your anger? And I'm going to give you some options. A volcano erupting, pretty pissed off, low-key simmer, sort of irritated, sad anger, or I don't get angry.
What was the third one?
Low-key simmer.
It's low-key simmer.
So you know all
And
these
then I
terms because you
sit-
hang out with the kids.
Right, and then I sit there and stew in it, and then I become more upset. Yeah,
Okay. Low-key simmer. You didn't boil over, though.
no.
All right. How about the last time you cried? Ooh, we're getting deep. Wailing, loud AF, medium volume sobbing, classy, quiet weeping, a little sniffling, a couple tears, tough cowboy cry, single tear, or I don't really cry that much.
What was the third one again?
Classy, quiet
Yep.
weeping. You're number 3 all the way.
Is it really? No, the first one I was the last one, I think.
Oh, you were. You were the
Okay.
loud goat. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Okay. Okay, so you're a classy crier. That's good to know. What about the last time you were super happy? Were you bouncing off the walls? Pretty psyched, and it lasted a while? Pretty up for a bit? Mildly happy for a little while? I don't know. I haven't felt happy in ages. Or I'm not ever happy.
The second option.
Pretty psyched, and it lasted a while. What were you
Yep.
super happy about?
Let's see. The last time that I was super happy was a couple of weeks ago, getting some good news at work, and yeah,
That's super exciting.
yeah. And
right.
those are the things that carry you, right? Like, because there are plenty of bad things going on in the world, right?
Easy to focus on the
it's-
bad.
So we have got to focus on the good and the happy
Yes.
times, and let that carry us through the times when it's tough.
There we go. Speaking of tough, how often do you contemplate mortality? I'm never not thinking about death.
Oh God.
Pretty often. Whenever it comes up, I might ruminate a bit. Every once in a while, I don't really think about it. Or I'm immortal, so it doesn't apply. I love these writers. God bless the people at BuzzFeed.
Not the last one, the one above it.
I don't really think about it.
Yep.
YOLO. You're doing it. Okay. Now, this one
Okay.
is going to use some emojis. You've been on a long flight, seated beside a chatty stranger. Literally my worst nightmare. Choose an emoji that describes you right now, sitting beside this person. We have the anger, the red one.
Yes.
Okay, we've got the ones that have like semicolons for eyes that are like looking one direction, like ugh.
Yeah.
We've got straight across mouth. Slight smile. Looks fake. Crying, laughing, or the monkey with its hands over its ears.
What's the third one? The middle one again?
The one with the straight across
Yep.
mouth. Unamused.
Yeah, I will do it. It's just my personality. I'm an extrovert, so I'll talk for a little bit. But like, there's some cues that I think if you you fly enough, like if I pull something out, that probably means we're
I
not
don't
going
want
to
to talk to you.
talk about it.
Yeah. Have you ever made a friend on a flight like that?
I actually have.
Really?
I met a woman. It was actually the last. So it was one of the last things we did before COVID. So my partner and I went up to New York City to see a play.
Oh, fun. What'd you see?
The last weekend of February.
Oh, you got it in. What'd you go see?
We went to go see this very long play called The Inheritance. And it was a complete play. It wasn't a musical. It was in 2 parts.
Whoa.
So we went in the afternoon and we went back for an evening showing.
Whoa.
It was like 7 hours of theater.
That is intense. I've never heard of that being a thing. So these actors are working splits every day.
No, they only do both parts. They would only do it on Saturdays.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so for us being out of town, we had to see it on a Saturday so we could knock it all out. So anyway, so we went, the show was called The Inheritance. And so we were on the flight back and we were sitting there on the plane. And at that point, no one was wearing a mask.
Oh, February.
Because no one told us to.
Sure. Sure.
I did wipe my seat down. I had all of that. And we also, we just didn't know it was going to be that big of a thing.
Yeah, we didn't know.
And I was like, the show ends in 2 weeks. Like, I'm going. Like, I already got tickets. And so there was a woman sitting next to me on the flight back, and we were delayed getting for takeoff, and we just started talking, and she was like, what are you up for? And I told her what we came up for. And then she saw me pull out, take a subscription to the Chronicle of Philanthropy. And she was like, do you work in nonprofits? And I was like, yes. And I told her what I do and all of this. And she sent me an email, and she was in Charlotte, about a month ago, and she called me and she was like, do you want to go on a walk?
What?
Yes.
This is amazing. And so she works at nonprofits?
She is a consultant to nonprofits.
Oh, wow. And where does she live?
She lives in New York City.
Oh, my gosh. You're
to the point that she was like, you all can come back anytime and stay at the...
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, that's a little much. Like, I really don't know you to stay in your home. But yes.
So you're just making friends wherever you go?
Sometimes. It depends on my mood.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so impressive. Shout out to her and shout out to you. I would definitely have put in my headphones. I would not be up for that.
But it was good conversation.
Yeah. And you're interested, you're
right.
We
both work in similar fields, and so she got the language. She sort of knew some of the stuff I was talking about.
Was your partner there and just like, oh, I'm reading a book?
Yes.
I love it.
He's like, Ivan's talking again.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. How was the play?
It was excellent.
Worth it?
It was totally worth it.
That's a lot of theater in one day. Impressive. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But we digress.
Yeah, we digress. Yeah. That's another thing that my guests love is a tangent. Let's see. How do you feel when you lose something important, like your keys or your wallet? Okay. Immediate reaction. Totally enraged. Helpless. Like I need a life coach and a complete life makeover. Kind of frustrated. It's not really that serious. Or it is what it is.
It's really not that serious.
It's really not that serious. Is that after you get enraged?
No, it's just really not. Like,
It just is.
It's a wallet. Like,
yeah, what are you going to do?
Right.
Keys are in the freezer.
Right. I have an app that I can stop credit cards, so it's just get another one.
It's life. Here we go.
Right.
All right. Which one of these represents your mood right now? Now, this is a very visual one, so I'm going to just describe it, and you're going to have to choose, and then I'm actually going to show you so that you can see. Okay, we've got, some colors that have bled together, and there's, lots of oranges and blues swirled, okay? Like paint being mixed.
Okay.
Then we have what looks like a blue gradient, almost like the ocean as it gets darker towards the bottom. Then we have a nice spiral of rainbow colors that all comes together in the center. This one is like a foggy gray scale kind of eerie looking thing. This one is a pink gradient. And then the last one that we have here, it is red with black scratches across it.
Oh, wow. I'm not there.
Not there. Okay. I feel like you're a gradient, but I don't know which one.
Let me see.
Oh, you got to pick first. This is a very serious quiz.
So I probably would do the blue where it transitions to darker.
To darker. Okay. That's that one right there. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah.
A cool blue that can melt into a little bit of a darker. I like it. All right. Let's see. Next, how do you feel upon waking up in the morning? A lot of options. This shit again? Well, here we go. At least I have fun plans tonight. Can't wait to be home in my PJs. Let's get this party started, or this day will be however the day will be.
Let's get this party started.
Let's get this party started. I love that. I was hoping that was going to be your answer.
I'm an early riser and everything.
Are you an early riser?
Yeah, I
Me
get
too.
up at 6 o'clock every day.
Every day? What time do you go to bed?
I am usually in bed. I'm trying to be asleep by 10:30. So I'm getting in the bed around 10.
I'm having the opposite problem with the time change. It hits 8:30 and I'm like, can I please go to bed? Is it appropriate to go to bed?
Well, it depends on the day for me. It depends on what work has been like, and there are plenty of days that I'm in the bed at 8:30.
A couple nights ago, I was fighting myself to not put on my pajamas at 6 o'clock. I was like, Beth, just go for a walk, do something else. You cannot put on your pajamas yet. The sun is not down. Okay, next you're going to pick a landscape.
Okay.
That describes your disposition in general. This is a cityscape that is being ravaged by a tornado. Next one, it looks like we have a dumpster on the side of a dirt road that maybe raccoons have just thrown the trash about. This is a peaceful mountainous lake. Next, we have what looks like a desert with flower growing out of the cracks in the ground. Sweet. A path in the woods during fall with the sun either rising or setting, but it's definitely golden hour. And then this looks like some kind of tropical place. It's got very colorful houses, and there's boats, and the sun is shining.
The forest.
The forest. The mountainous forest. Okay, now this is our last question.
Is it really?
It really is, yeah. Yeah, we've been flying through this. What are you in the mood to do right now? Got some choices.
Oh, I was like, is that an open-ended question?
Open-ended question. That would be great. Yeah, they have somebody just sitting at BuzzFeed,
I was
just
like,
waiting.
oh, wow. Okay.
Workout. Not workout. Go to happy hour with coworkers. Have dinner with my BFF. See a movie by myself. Or whatever. I don't care.
Probably cocktail. It's Friday.
Cocktail. Yeah, it is Friday. Happy Friday. Oh, this is a great answer for Ivan.
If it says CrossFit, I'm going to.
No.
Okay.
You're going to love it. They say you should go for a run.
No.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just have a lot of thoughts. Happy ones, sad ones, stressful ones, whatever. And there's nothing like spending some solo time in your head to sort through them or let them float in and out of your brain. They pegged you for a runner.
Oh, they did peg me.
See, and that's the thing about BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed,
Wow.
they're right more than they're wrong.
They are.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I love a BuzzFeed quiz.
I was afraid that they were going to say that I'm supposed to do CrossFit because I'm extroverted and want to be in a... And I have friends of mine that have been trying to get me to do that for years. And I was like, then they're going to have ammunition. BuzzFeed said you need to do one.
Oh, yeah.
Your quiz personality, everything says that.
Everything says. Well, I mean, you should try it just so that you know if you hate it or don't like it. And then it'll get your friends to shut up.
Yeah.
And then you can always guilt them into, if you go on a Saturday, you can guilt them into, buying you brunch or something.
Good plan.
Right?
Good plan.
Yeah. You got to have a plan with that. Thank you so much for humoring me.
Yeah,
with that
that
quiz.
was fun.
I'm so glad. All right. Now... our folks want to hear some recommendations from you. What is the best that life has to offer right now? What's getting you excited? No matter the price point, doesn't matter. Tell me what you're stoked on these days.
Let's see. So I just finished. So I have this goal that I've set for the year to try to consume less news.
Ooh, I love that goal.
Right?
It's very different from my goal. I'll tell you mine in just a minute.
Less news and more other sorts of media that is just vastly different than the news.
Yeah.
So I do listen to a lot of podcasts. So a podcast that I recommend over and over and over again because it just makes me feel good, and I think most people would agree, is Dolly Parton's America.
Yes. It is so good.
Yes. There's so much hope in the world.
God bless Dolly.
I
God
know.
keep Dolly.
Yes.
Oh, that is such a good podcast. No one's brought that up yet.
Yes.
Oh.
So, I mean, I listened to it when it first came out. I actually re-listened to it a few weeks ago. The whole thing.
And it holds.
It just holds. It just
yes.
holds.
I listened to that while running a lot in the beginning of quarantine.
Yeah.
So that's where I was in my headspace. Like, I need Dolly.
And then this one's not a happy one, but it
Okay.
is really good. So my partner and I watched last weekend on HBO Max. There is a series called It's a Sin. Are you familiar with this? So the premise is it's 4 or 5 episodes, and it takes place in the 80s, but it takes place in London at the height of the AIDS epidemic through the lens of being in London.
Gotcha. I have heard a little bit about this. Yeah.
And so it has one of the stars is the lead of this band that we love, Years and Years. Are you familiar with Years
I'm
and
not.
Years? But he is in it, and he is from Europe. So that was how we got connected to it. But then the complexities of it, and it's vastly different than if you grew up here and you watched like Philadelphia and some of these other kind of like AIDS movies that like there were no people of color in those movies, like things like this.
I think everybody was just white back then,
yes,
right?
all gay people were white.
That's what I thought.
Right. Like, and that was a thing even when I came out. Like, there were like black people that were like, I don't know any like gay people. I was like, oh my God. It's not like a trait that's passed only through white people.
Only white people. That is it.
But like, so it just was really full and complete. And it dealt with like the complexities of things that were going on in that time that I just never had seen in anything. It was really good.
And what's the name of it again?
It is called It's a Sin.
It's a Sin. Okay.
And so it is on HBO Max. And then the thing I am very much looking forward to is the final season of Pose.
Oh, boy. Brody's back there raising his fist.
I am so sad that it is ending. But I'm thrilled that it's coming back. It's just been it's been a bright spot. If you think about the last 3 years, 4 years, because I think they took last year off. My partner and I joke that like that and RuPaul's Drag Race have saved us.
Okay, have you been watching RuPaul's Drag Race, the British version?
No, it is on our list, so we are going to watch it when we finish this season.
Okay, yeah, I haven't started yet either, but I am so excited because from what I understand, it's more like the beginning seasons here. It's almost like we've gotten used to it. Like we're taking RuPaul's Drag Race for granted.
Yes.
And, they're able to push the boundaries a little bit. They're a little bit more irreverent over there. So I'm super stoked.
I am too. And I didn't know. I had a friend of mine, and he was like, "Are you watching that one?" And I said, "No." And he was like, "You need to, it is actually better than the current season and, that we're watching here." And I was like, "I don't know if I believe that because we are totally Team Simone."
Laying down the law, Team Simone.
She is wonderful and fabulous, and yes. So we are still engaged in the U.S. version because we still like the people on it.
Of course.
How
can you not?
Right.
How can you not?
But like those, I think about like some of those kind of shows like that, like have sort of just saved the madness of things that have been going on in the world, and
Absolutely.
it's been our own like little escape, like our Friday nights to, go on a walk, have cocktail hour, have dinner, and watch RuPaul's Drag Race.
And
it is perfect.
Put on your pajamas whenever the hell you feel like it.
It's perfect. So
I love
those
that.
are some of the things I'm looking forward to, and that I would
That
recommend.
makes me so happy. I've got one recommendation, and this is actually a gift from my mom for, I can't remember if she gave it to me or my partner. It doesn't matter. It's for both of us. It's called Spice Breeze. Okay?
What is this?
Spice Breeze. So my partner hates Blue Apron. She doesn't like being told what to do.
Really?
The ingredients are pre-measured.
Yeah.
Everything about it pisses her off. It just puts her in a box and she doesn't want it. Okay? I've never seen this woman have a hissy fit like I have with a Blue Apron box. Okay? So we got a Spice Breeze. Spice Breeze, they just send you a little packet of different meals and the spices that are contained in it. And you make the meal. And it's all kinds of things that you would absolutely never try. And it shows up in this little envelope, and the envelope smells like all these different kinds of crazy spices, and it comes with the little recipe cards, and it's so exciting, and it's a great excuse to go to like Super G and look around at all the stuff. And we've been having so much fun with it.
Huh.
Shout out to Kathy Rossi. Thanks, Mom.
Wow.
Spice Breeze.
Okay.
For the people in your life that can't handle being told what to do by Blue Apron.
Look, after some of the days I have, I just want someone to say, Ivan, put this in here and just call it a day.
I can sort of relate to that. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So this is my least favorite part of the show. This is our last part. Sorry.
Oh.
I know, bummer. But I've got some reviews to read.
Okay.
Folks leave me great reviews on Apple, and I so appreciate them, and so I wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out. Sarah C. Gully says, I'm a little biased since I live in Greensboro, but this feels like listening in on conversations with friends.
Oh.
Literally. But I'd enjoy listening even if that weren't the case. Thank you so much, Sarah Gully. BRTTF3 says, I am loving this podcast. Can't wait to see it grow. While I'm not really a fitness person, it's entertaining, and the host keeps it relatable. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, that's a good compliment.
Fitness for real people and crazy funny facts. Last one, UNCG 2007 says, laughed out loud and learned a thing or two. 10 out of 10 would listen again. And I got a special shout out for a very special client of mine. Shout out to Lauren Bruce for always leaving the best Venmo captions. You win in all things. Thank you for putting up with all of the hill sprints. I appreciate you. Ivan, where would you like to be found by my fair audience?
So you can find NCCJ at NCCJ Triad on all social media channels. So that would get you on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn and Twitter. And personally, if someone wants to connect with me, I am on Instagram. My handle is GSOGICAN is here.
Yes.
I think that's right. I should check that.
I love that you don't know it.
Right. I'm so old, right?
You are not. You absolutely are not. We'll make sure we have a link to your socials where you want to be found. Ivan, thank you so much for coming on the pod. I can't wait to be up on the mountain with you again. This was absolutely such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I did give you the wrong handle.
You did? I love it. What is your actual handle? Please tell me.
GICAN is here.
Is here.
Yeah.
Okay, you were really close.
I was close. I thought the GSO was in it, but it wasn't.
I'm going to give you an 8 out of 10 for
Good.
for
Thank
effort.
you.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It's the easiest way, and it's free. I accept 5 stars only, because why not?
Yes.
If you have a question you need answered or a story that you just have to tell, make sure you email moveoverpod@gmail.com, and make sure you follow me on Instagram @trainer.b. That's where all the fun stuff happens. That's all I got for you. Bye-bye, guys. To continue the conversation, follow me on Instagram @trainer.b or email me at moveoverpod@gmail. Thanks for listening. Bye.